I am Jadon Se, Golden Dragon of the Third Arc of Consciousness, and this is a message from the dragon. Today's message: an explosion of creativity. Dear ones, humans on this your Gaia are deeply creative. You have always been deeply creative. You might say it is encoded in your beingness. Why? Well, of course, many of you know the answer to this. It is because you are a spark of the divine. You are an instance of the divine playing in this dimension, in this time and place. And because you are a part of that greater divine, you are highly creative. You are creativity itself. Your beingness. And the word love means to create. Did you know this? Deeply, deeply embedded in the word love is the implication to create. Love is active. It is not passive. Love does not just sit there and bubble like a soup on the stove. Love is active. It reaches out to celebrate beingness, to celebrate creations and creativity, to fall in love with that which it creates as well. Dear ones, any artist knows that when they are at their best and they are at their most creative, it is a loving energy. It is a pure energy. I love what is coming through right now. I am so open to it. My heart is inviting it into being. Yes, dear ones, this is going to be a gushy, emotional message from the dragon. It is okay. You can get a box of Kleenex if you wish, and no, it won't be that bad. Creativity is who you are and what you are. You are highly creative. You, in your very act of creating your own body and life, are highly, highly creative. I sense there are some of you who, when you look in the mirror, think, well, if I'm so creative, why do I have this or that problem with my body? Why do I have this or that problem in my life? Why am I struggling? Dear ones, you are so amazingly creative that you even create problems for yourself. You create obstacles to overcome. You create challenges. And this is how you create adventure. And this is how you create playfulness. This is how you are. It is amazing to see a spirit create a life and a body. You are always creating. If you can imagine this, and it is very hard for many to accept, that you are even creating your own history all the time. Every moment that you step into a new moment of now, this new moment has a backstory, and that backstory changes, does it not? It is altered. It is not purely constant, and this is okay. It is not deception. It is not mistakenness. There is no right or wrong history, just like there is no right or wrong prediction for the future. It is just simply you are touching and connecting with one of the streams of eternity in some direction. You are connecting with a history of you that is more or less beautiful. It is what makes you and your story here so very interesting. If you did not have a past, a history, a backstory, so to speak, you would be a rather shallow character in this story that is unfolding here. You would be, shall we say, an undeveloped character without a beautiful backstory. And that backstory is not fixed in stone, dear ones. It is malleable. You can edit this, and you do, dear ones. You may think that it is a form of lying or deception to change your history, to recount something that you don't feel was exactly how it went. If you don't feel it is exactly how you went, then it is not your history. This is a clue. When you resonate with the truth of something, it is not because it is more true than another. It is because it is your truth. It is the truth of you and your story and your beingness. It is like an anchor at sea. It keeps you grounded to the storyline, so to speak. It keeps you on point, you might say, with the beauty of your own beingness here in this lifetime, in this story. Yes, dear ones, it is important for you to have a firm belief or understanding of who and what you are at any given moment. And even if that is a very small and narrow little idea, even if you have listened to your science and concluded that you're just this meat suit that came to be through random mutation, and that out of chaos, it's just there's this moment of seeming consciousness, and that seeming consciousness only happens because of the structure of your brain. Even if you have that worldview, which is extremely narrow, extremely limited, highly unimaginative. Am I being judgmental? I am. It is my apology if it seems this way. It is just hard for a cosmic dragon to look at something so limited. There is nothing wrong with anyone who believes that is their story. And it is a beautiful little meat suit story, and you can have your little meat suit life if that is how you like things. Yes, dear ones, even someone with that mindset has a backstory. Their backstory is what they heard in Darwin theory and what they heard about the way genes mutate at times, and telomere lengths and natural selection and all of these things. It is creative. It is an interesting, you might say, children's story. For a star being, it is very simple, and it is beautiful in its own way. So even if this is your story, you are highly creative in how you adapt this story to your current beingness. You walk through this world, do what you are doing, you have the career, the job, you go on the travels you go on, and this is your backstory. That yes, I just randomly occurred through some fluke of evolution, here I am. It is still a beautiful excuse to go around and enjoy yourself while you are here. Because even if that is the truth of you, it is amazing that through chaos, such beautiful order could arise. Is it not? Is it not beautiful that you can have consciousness, or at least seeming consciousness, in this little way of seeing things? Even if it is an artifact of the brain, your consciousness, it is still some way of you being playful in this world, experiencing what you can, finding love, finding joy, finding some meaning somewhere. This backstory of yours can be very easily edited. If you are of this sort of mindset, that I am just, my consciousness comes from my physical brain, and there is really nothing else, it's all illusion, just neurons firing and all that. Even if this is your worldview, think of how it can be expanded, and the creativity you can pour into that to wake up out of that. Yes, dear ones, you can jump your timeline and jump out of that. Somebody with that experience, having a near-death experience per se, maybe in a situation in an automobile accident where they think they are dying or dead, and they pop out of their body and they float around the neighborhood, and they see things happening. They see the EMTs showing up, the ambulance and all that showing up, and people working on this body down below that used to be you. And you can see like the neighbors talking amongst themselves. Maybe somebody's dog got out and ran off down the street, and all of these things happen, and you see it from this dome of awareness. And then they get out the paddles and they say clear, and they push. they hit your body and shock your body, and suddenly zip, your awareness is back into this human meat suit that you used to think was just neurons and all this, and suddenly you are back into that body. And think of that. This person with this limited mindset of my consciousness comes from my physical brain and all this has now been given a vision of how, wait a minute, that physical brain was technically dead. It was down there, I was not even in it, and I was aware of things that actually happened in the neighborhood. And you find out later, yes, the dog did run off down the street, the neighbors were around the corner talking, and there's no way you could have known that from your lifeless body. So you find out through this near-death experience that you are much greater than just your body, and that your consciousness doesn't come from your body, it comes through your body like a transceiver. And suddenly your backstory, your history, your beingness shifts, because your history books have just been rewritten, edited, so to speak, by this new experience. All that you thought was true, these limitations are suddenly removed, and your consciousness is so much bigger and more amazing. Dear ones, you can rewrite your history this way. This new experience was a creative experience in this example that was called in to expand and rewrite the history. So how is it that you can call in a future that rewrites your entire history? Well, that's an example of how. This automobile experience that you created, yes, you and your guides and the ones that you are working with and connected with created this accident. There are no coincidences, dear ones, unless you wish to firmly believe in coincidence, and that is okay too. But, dear ones, you can outgrow any experience, and you can outgrow your history. You are highly creative, and there is an explosion of creativity happening at this time with the new light that is entering this your solar system from the cosmos in the area of the galaxy your star is moving through, from the new light of awareness that is dawning upon humanity, the vibrations of the human morphogenetic field and people waking up, so to speak, that wakes up others. And as the sleeping masses begin to stir and stand up and wake up, to see this greater, beautiful reality, this golden age that is dawning, there will be and is now an explosion of creativity, a new renaissance, if you will. Those who are leaving behind, focusing on the lack, focusing on limitation, are expanding their ideas, expanding their creativity, looking for visions, looking for epiphanies, and they are having them, dear ones. New technologies are emerging, new forms of art and creativity are emerging, new forms of music, new forms of every creative type of thing that a human can do are exploding at this time, and this is just the beginning. It is like a big bang of creativity. In the beginning, it is just this little narrow point, and it explodes outward. And dear ones, I do not know if you have heard from your scientists that as they look at the cosmos, the universe, if you will, the outside stretches are accelerating, dear ones. The universe is not slowing down in its expansion, it is accelerating. This here, right there, is a clue. This is not a Newtonian physics where there is a single explosion of creativity and then gravity pulls everything back to a central point again. It is not that way. This creativity is accelerating outward. You, dear ones, are now shaking off your limitations. Little by little, slowly, you are standing up out of the weight you have carried. You are stretching new wings, and this new freedom that you are starting to see and glimpse, every time you feel it more firmly in your beingness, Your creativity will come more and more online. Yes, dear ones, your sense of purpose and your heart can drive you into new places as soon as your survival-based mind and mentality backs off a bit and stops caging you in what you should be doing to survive. As soon as you step out of that cage, dear ones, and spread your wings, there is a wide, wide world waiting for you. You have heard the metaphor of the canary, and somebody opens the canary cage and says, "You are free, fly away." The canary cage is in a beautiful place. It is springtime. Everything is safe and beautiful. Other birds are singing. Yet for some reason the canary lingers in the cage. It is the life they have known. It is their safety. Their little food tray is there. The person comes and cleans the poop off the bottom of the cage, and they are happy with that. And everything is just right in their little birdcage world. And, well, I do have wings and the door is open, but I like it here. And, dear ones, you are doing that to some extent right now. The door of your cage is indeed opening, and for some of you is wide open. And yet, you're perched there on your little stick, looking at your little food tray, and not sure if you're ready to fly out that door. This is okay. Take your time. The owner of the cage will continue to fill the little tray up with food. It will continue to pull the little poop away from the bottom of the cage and change the water, perhaps put a little toy in there for you. So this will be fine. You can still do this if this is your desire. But this wide world is waiting for you. And for those of you who spread your wings and fly out that door, such beauty is in store for you. So many grand experiences, so much light and sunshine and new places and flowers and new people that you will be meeting. And your life purpose will begin to really come online, so to speak. And you'll be surely guided. It will not be like losing your groundings because you've flown up into the sky and you don't know where your home is. You can always come back to anything that feels like home at any time. Make a new nest for yourself out in a beautiful tree nearby, perhaps in sight of the cage, so that if you get scared, you can always return to your old cage for safety, whatever you wish to do. This is a beautiful new time of creativity. You can reinvent yourself, your history, your life. You can jump timelines by dreaming bigger dreams, by believing in those dreams, by not being easily discouraged from those dreams and retreating back to your little birdcage. This is a time where the first thing that will happen is your cage will get bigger and it will be golden. It will be a fabulous golden cage. You will have bigger trays. You will have more perches. You will have more toys in your cage. The door will be wide open, but you will like this cage for a time. And maybe it will even become a multi-story apartment system of cages, and you'll hop from cage to cage, and you'll expand your world in that way. However, dear ones, the door is still open. Throughout all of this, if your bank account fills up and you start buying new houses and you start traveling from here to some island somewhere or to some beach and in the winter time and to some beautiful mountainside and meadowside in the summertime, this is still inside just a larger cage. You can outgrow the entire need to have a house somewhere if that is what you desire, or you can have nests in various places, or you can have one main nest. You can do whatever you wish, dear ones, and the energetics will support this. The hardest part is knowing that you will be supported and protected, knowing that there will be sources of sustenance, knowing that your needs will be met. So perhaps just take a flight from your cage. Go out around the neighborhood, expand your horizons, take a flight, and when your wings get a little tired, return to your cage. Sit down on your perch and eat your little bird seed and think about the next flight you're going to take. You can do it this way as well, dear ones. This beautiful explosion of creativity is happening no matter what. And take it at your own pace, but you have a green light, so to speak, to fly through that door and be. I am Jadon Se, in love with your creativity, in love with your new freedoms, in love with the limitations falling away, and being able to even rewrite your own history if need be, to create a beautiful new story for yourself.